Good morning, everybody. This is Mother of Many Horses with Honey Hollow Homestead. I just got done busting up some pallets. Now, if you're new to my channel, you may not realize that I'm starting a homestead on a budget, okay? Now, there's certain things I'll spend money on, like, for instance, my barn. Okay, I hired an Amish crew to build my barn, and it's a work in progress because they're very busy, and but they'll get it finished. They've completed everything I've asked them to do when I've asked of them. So that will get finished, and I've also contracted a few other things that I paid money for. But you know, there's some things that I can do myself. Like, for instance, I built a guinea coop. And I also built a hay feeder for the goats. I also put a floor in a temporary shelter for the goats. And I've built a couple other little odds and ends here and there, some gates and out of pallet wood. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is building with pallets. I've seen on many channels, I'm not just picking on one, but I've seen many channels where they just get the pallets and they use them as they are. And that's fine if you're in a hurry and you need to have something done. They can be structural, and it works. It does the job as it's necessary. Well, I gotta complicate things a little bit more. And what I do is I tear most of the pallets apart, at least the ones that are easy. And I want to share some of my tools of choice. Now, of course, you gotta have a good hammer, okay? I use this for knocking the nails out of the boards, okay? And my other favorite tool is a pry bar. Now, my hands and my wrists aren't all that strong, and so what I do is I use the hammer to pound the nails through, and then flip the board over, and I can pry the nails out usually very, very easily with this pry bar, okay? And I've also used it to pry those little metal plates out of off the crate panels that I used as fence panels for the ducks. Another tool of choice, let me see here, where is it? And this is one of my favorites, is a very long crowbar. Very long. Can't even get it all on the screen, okay? It's like, that kind of gives you an idea of how long it is, okay? What is that, 3 feet? If it ain't 3 feet, it's mighty close to it, okay? And what I use this for is for prying nails out of the runners that the pallets are made out of. Because oftentimes when I pry the boards off those runners, the nails sometimes stick in there, and I want to pry them out because sometimes I need to use the boards. So that's one of my favorite tools, because it's so long, it gives me excellent leverage, so I don't have to be too terribly strong, okay? And another thing, put this over here. See, I got boards here I got to get the nails out of. And of course, what user of pallets would be worth their salt without a pallet buster? Now, there's fancier ones out there that have the feet that swivel and whatnot, and they're prettier color, but you know what? It works. It's what I have, and it works. So, and I've had the base for years. I got the pipe from my neighbor. He was gracious enough to cut a length, about the right length for me, and and give it to me. That was very nice of him. So that's my what I use to pry the boards off the runners. Okay. Now, talking about the pallets. Not all pallets are created equal. Okay. There are some that are, well, they're just a little bit too well weathered, and to pry them apart, all you're going to do is just split the boards. Split the boards, and the nail heads will pop off when you're trying to pry the nails out. It just, you know what, it's not worth the time and energy to pry them apart. So those I will use, like there are times when you need a pallet. Like right now I've got a round bale sitting on a couple of pallets. Okay, I've got a temporary floor in my barn that the base is pallets. Okay, and then I put some chipboard over top. It does the job. Okay. Other wood is pretty decent. Now, this looks like a pretty decent board, doesn't it? Well, it is and it isn't. It's got a split in it. Okay, now I can either use that by cutting that out, or putting that on the bottom of, like if I'm building a floor or something, or I can glue that down and clamp it, and it'll be good. Now it has nail holes, and it's mainly a problem at the end, and I can just trim those off. Sometimes you get knots in them. This one, you just got to take that into consideration with whatever project you're using. So most of the projects I'm doing, it doesn't really matter too much. Like I said, I did the floor in the hen house, and I got to get ready to build the walls. And I didn't want a huge knot in the boards, because that was going to create a void where a critter could get up in there and get into the chicken feed, or steal an egg, or even worst case scenario, kill a chicken. So you got to take that in consideration. Yeah, some boards are thicker than others. This one is, I don't think it's quite as thick as the ones I was using on the hen house floor, but I've seen them thinner than this too. And it all depends on what you want to do with it. That's just, and some wood is better than others. Sometimes the runners are straight 2x4s, and I can use those. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be using some with this hen house build, and they're pretty decent. Now, I did get one pallet yesterday that 2 out of the 3 runners, the 2x4s were really not that good. They had a big knot in the middle, and they were weak, so I can't use those for structure. There may be something that comes along that I need a small section of 2x4. I can use those for that. Just cut off the section that has the big knot in it. Sometimes the wood is just only so much firewood. But sometimes it's not the wood you want. Sometimes it's the nails. I'll show you some of the nails I got. Now, these are the pretty hefty ones. They have a point on them. Some of the ones I've gotten, they're a blunt end. And if I'm going to reuse those, I usually pre-drill. I may still pre-drill with these, just because it's easier for me with a fine drill bit. But yeah, I'm not just saving wood, I'm also saving nails, because I will reuse the nails. Sometimes the nails are not appropriate. Sometimes I need screws. But you know, screws are expensive. So if I can do something with the nails, I use the nails. And that's what the floor is mostly done. There's a couple of supports for the floor that I had to use some screws in, but it's mostly nails. The lion's share of the hardware is nails. It's like, yeah, it's work to pull them out, but you know, if they come out easily, it's not that big a deal, and they're mostly straight. This might have this one's pretty much straight, but there's thought I had one in here that had a little bit of a kink. There's one that has a little bit of kink. Just pound a hammer on that, you know, lay it flat on something, give it a little tap, and it straightens it right out, you know, and then it's usable. And here comes the sun. So that's what I do. I break the pallets apart, and I'm selective about what wood I use for what project. You know, if I'm building a gate, like the gate that I built for the goat pen, I want it looking a little bit nicer. Okay, and so that's what I did. I picked select pieces that would fit together and look nice. They're free, but they're not. They're labor intensive, and some are more labor intensive than others. If you got the time to put into the labor of breaking them apart and whatnot, I did a couple last night. It didn't take me long at all to break them apart because they were easy to pry apart. Some are far more work. So you got to pretty much figure out how it's going to work for you, if it's worth the effort or not. Uh, hey, if you can afford to go out and get brand new uh, dimensional lumber to do your projects, that's wonderful. That's great. But some of us, we've got to be a little bit more careful about how we spend our money. So the important structures, like I said, the barn, yeah, I'll hire someone to build that and use, uh, dimensional lumber for that. Um, but a hen house, chickens don't care. Goat barn, goats don't care. Just as long as it keeps the weather out, that's all they care about. So this is Mother Many Horses, and hopefully you like what you see here. Um, like, subscribe, and if you think of it, share my videos with those that you know. Okay, if you think it's going to be of any use to them. And hopefully there will be more videos coming soon. So have a good one, people. Talk to you later.